Now I'd like to address a point that I feel personally very strongly about, and that is depriving a trustee in prospective legislation of the right to recover preferences and fraudulent transfers in certain instances. Ms. Chapman testified about this issue. Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, I cannot urge you strongly enough to reject this amendment. If enacted, it would deprive the victims Ms. Chapman represents of literally millions of dollars. The Madoff trustee has used the avoiding powers granted him by SIPC and the Bankruptcy Code judiciously. He has not sued small investors. He's instituted preference and fraudulent transfer proceedings against large investors who receive disproportionate returns. But the weapons in the trustee's arsenal include the fact that all he must prove is disparate return without any issue of legitimate expectation arising. Ms. Chapman's written statement at page 17 says that the trustee in Madoff has already sued several elderly, virtually destitute investors. Ms. Chapman is a vigorous advocate, but she's factually incorrect. The only situation in the Madoff case where small investors have been sued were 3 instances where the claimants ignored the claims filing procedure that has been in place for 39 years and initiated a lawsuit against the trustee. In short, the trustee was required to institute mandatory counterclaims, and those are the only small investors who have been sued.
My name is Adele Fox. I am a Bernard Madoff victim. Because I want to express everything I feel, I prefer to read the statement I have prepared. I am a widow, 86 years old, worked all of my life. On my last position, I was a school secretary for 20 years at Aviation High School in Long Island City until I retired at 63. My husband was a teacher in the New York City school system. We lived frugally so that we could save for our retirement. Most unexpectedly, he died in 1986 because for many years he was exposed to asbestos in the walls of his classroom. After his death, I moved to Florida. I had the insurance proceeds, our savings, our IRAs, and an inheritance from my mother-in-law. At the suggestion of trusted relatives and with knowledge of Madoff's lily-white reputation in the financial world, plus the SIPC backup insurance, which I believed I had, I placed the money with Madoff. A few months ago, I was subpoenaed to submit my records. Unfortunately, I only had records going back to 1999 and therefore could not prove how much I put in. And Mr. Pickett knows this. I have doubts as to how he determined what my initial investments were and the accuracy of his records. This past November, Irving Pickard sent 2 letters demanding that I pay back $691,372. These are the letters. Comprised of $211,372 mandatory distributions on my IRA account and $480,000 on my trust account. For the theft loss, I received a tax refund from the IRS going back 5 years for the taxes I paid on phantom income. I desperately need this money to support myself for the rest of my life. I am terrified that it will be taken from me. I am so distressed that I cannot sleep, and my health is deteriorating. I have just been diagnosed with bleeding ulcers and irritable bowel syndrome. I am an emotional wreck and do not believe I can cope with this torture much longer. I have done nothing wrong. How can this happen in this country? How can Mr. Pickard be allowed to persecute innocent elderly people who are struggling terribly with declining health and now a very serious financial situation? At the December 9th congressional hearing, Mr. Harbeck stated that he would not go after people like me. Obviously not so in my case, and how many other cases.